he is, and he's writing under his real name and everything, so he's pretty brave. But so there's him, and there's still a lot of other writers who contributed to our magazine over the years. But it's a pretty small crew, really. We only have about 15 full-time staff for the whole magazine, and that's actually a few more than we had a few months ago. And other magazines, they look at their mastheads, and it just goes on and on and on and on. And we have a pretty small, devoted team. I think we do a pretty good job for who we have and for the challenges that we face.
Yeah, from what I've seen, it's very impressive magazine. Dana, I know that you have a lot of work to do, and there's people waiting upstairs to meet with you. But I'm just wondering, before we close here, if you would, are there any websites that people back home could find out more about?
We have a plethora of websites for people to investigate, and the first one would be cannabisculture.com, which is the website of our homepage of our magazine, and we put all our back issues online there. We have very active chat forums. We have a bud gallery with about 8,000 fabulous bud shots on there from our readers and from our magazine, and more being added every day. So there's a lot of stuff there. You can also go to pottv.net. That's pot-tv.net. And if you have to have a pretty fast connection for that, but we have a lot of internet TV shows on there. I do one myself called the Weedy Wednesday Smoke Fest, which is supposed to come out every Wednesday, but ends up coming out about one Wednesday every month or two. But there's a bunch of shows on there. Mark Emery does a show. A lot of our American viewers do shows themselves. And anybody who wants to can submit a tape and put it on the air. But there's some really fabulous stuff on Pot TV, from grow advice to profiles of festivals and rallies in Australia and Vancouver and around the world. And people doing shows. One guy in Oklahoma does a great show, and he's smoking joints in the back of the store and talking about what his life's like there. So there's all kinds of stuff on Pot TV. People should watch it in Real Player. We have like hundreds of hours of archived video. And if they're interested in politics, they should go to the BC Marijuana Party webpage, which is bcmarijuanaparty.ca. They also have a store at bcmarijuanaparty.com, which is the commercial aspect of the party, and they have a mail order business. But bcmarijuanaparty.ca has a lot of interesting news articles online and information about our party's actions, and there'll be information on there about the Vancouver Marijuana Party as it develops as well. So those are three really good sites. And one more that I'd recommend that we don't run ourselves, but which is probably one of the most useful marijuana-related sites on the internet, and that's the Media Awareness Project. And their website's www.mapinc.org. And what they do, they have a team of volunteers around the world who gather any articles in the media on marijuana or drug policy or anything to do with drugs and cannabis, and they'll put them into their database. And they've got a huge database of about 5 years of articles. And if you want to find out what's going on, what's in the media, and if you want to be an armchair activist, an excellent way is to use their website and write letters to the editor. It only takes you a few minutes, and if you're clever, you can write up a template letter and send it to various places. And papers love getting letters from other parts of the world. It makes them feel as if their little paper in whatever hometown is being read all around the world. They can write letters. And it's a really efficient and good way to get information out there. It's free advertising. A letter to the editor doesn't cost you anything, but it would that advertising space can be quite valuable to get your message out. And if they don't print your letter, having your letter in there makes it more likely for them to print someone else's letter with the same viewpoint. So go to the Media Awareness Project if you're online and pick a few articles that are positive or negative about marijuana and write some letters to the editor. That's the best way you can be an armchair activist. That, or send money to the BC Marijuana Party, because we can use it as well. We need our American friends to send us money so we can liberate marijuana in Canada. And your American dollars go a lot further in Canada as well. So send us money. You don't get the tax-deductible deduction thing happening if you're an American, of course, but if you're from BC, we give you tax-deductible donation status. But we need your help, so write letters and send us money, and that's what you can do to help us out.
Would you encourage Americans to come up and visit here also?
I sure would. We got a definite number of Americans who have come up to live here, but a lot of them are reefer refugees who are people like Steve Cubby and Rene Boger, who are facing charges in the U.S. for medical marijuana, so they come to Canada. And there's many more who are not so high profile who come up here, but they don't get in the media, but they just hang out and do their thing. And I encourage that as well. It's good that you got to stay behind in your own country and fight your own oppression, but come here and help us and come up and visit and be inspired. Americans come here sometimes and they see our store and they see this whole block of Hastings, which is full of marijuana businesses. And some of them are moved to tears. I feel somebody's been a homosexual their whole life, can never tell anybody, and they come to a place where it's very open. I think it's the same thing. People smoke marijuana, they grow marijuana, they can't tell their children. Some of them don't tell their spouse that they grow marijuana or that they're involved in marijuana culture. And for them to come here and to see it so open and so free, where there's big marijuana leaves in every building on this block and people are smoking marijuana openly, some of them just can't believe what they're seeing, and they end up sort of breaking down or just being really emotionally affected by this, by having this chance to suddenly be open and free and talk about what was such a hidden but important part of their lives for them. So it's often quite moving to see that people have that strong reaction, or they just want to come and get really high and smoke some kind of BC bud, which is good too. But yeah, American tourists are more than welcome up here in the BC Marijuana Party Bookshop or Blunt Brothers and the Amsterdam Cafe on the same block. You know, we like tourists from all around the world, and if you take what you see here and then bring it back home and try to make this happen in your hometown, that's what we really want. We want BC marijuana parties or marijuana parties and cannabis cafes all across the world. We want, you know, there be a Kentucky marijuana party and a Kentucky cannabis cafe and one all over the place. And we'll help you too. If you get one going, talk to us and we'll try to set you up with some help, some information, some money, whatever we can do. You have to do the work, but if you get things going, we'll help you because we want to spread this marijuana message all around the world in every way we can. And that's really our mission. So we try to help people. There's a guy in Hawaii running with the marijuana ticket right now. We're trying to help him, and other people who are running it that way in other countries, in Australia and England, we give them support. We really want to make this a truly worldwide revolution, which is why we're bringing the magazine to Germany, why we're trying to expand around the world. We really want, this is a global culture, and cannabis culture is a culture that's really international and truly international. I can go anywhere in the world and spark up a joint, and that sacred circle will form, and we'll have a lot of similar things in common. You know, the Bob Marley music will be there, and there'll be a lot of similar things in our culture that I think is really special about the marijuana culture, and what makes it something that crosses all borders and all boundaries, and really it's truly international. We want this to be an international fight, an international cause, and to change this law all over the world on one spectacular day.
Dana Larsen, thank you so much for joining us on Louisville Late Night tonight.